We're talking with Tete Laurent, who is with IBAN International, and we are now joined as well by George Nathawa, who is a Fiji Islander and a Pacific climate warrior. Let's now pivot into the issue of climate. We'll stay with you, Tete. How does climate affect the Philippines, and what are you calling for here at the UN Climate Summit?
Well, the Philippines has always been poster child of the climate change. And as you said, especially during COPs, one big typhoon hits our country, an earthquake strikes, affecting millions. So at this COP, we're hoping and calling on governments to be accountable, number one, to make good on the promises that they made 2 years ago in Paris. And number two, because what they've put in as pledges in the Paris Agreement, it's not enough because it's still going to bring us anywhere between 3 to 7 degrees warming. We're calling on them, to increase the level of ambition, note the urgency, and really just try to do everything that they could to avoid runaway climate change.
We're also joined by George Nathawa, who is a Fiji Islander. So, George, your country is actually hosting the summit. It's called the Island COP, but it's being held in Bonn because Fiji couldn't deal with 25,000 people coming in all at once for this summit. But talk about how climate affects Fiji and place it for us geographically.
So Fiji, impacts of climate change in the islands is such that we have sea level rise, saltwater intrusion, harsh weather patterns, flooding. But just last year we had the worst cyclone, the Category 5 cyclone that hit Fiji. It was devastating to see thousands of homes damaged and about 40 people lost their lives. And this is something that we've never experienced before.
And the significance of this being an island COP, it's your island that's hosting this, Fiji?
I mean, this is to show the world what true leadership is all about, and we have our leaders from the islands that are pushing that affirmative action is taken and that the Paris Agreement is put into play, and that.
What does it mean to be a Pacific climate warrior?
It means we bring our faith, our culture, our tradition into the mix of things, and to show people who we are as human beings from the islands, and that we are connected to the land and to the ocean, and that this is important to us.
And the fact that President Trump is pulling the U.S. out of the UN Paris Climate Accord, what does it mean to you?
It's frustrating. I'm angry, but at the same time, I'm hopeful and to see that our island leaders are taking the true leadership role that is needed.
And Tete Laurent, the fact that Trump, yes, is in your country right now in the Philippines, you're here in Bonn for the Island Summit, this Island COP. What does it mean to you that the U.S. now, following Syria and just before that Nicaragua signing on to the Paris Climate Accord, that means the U.S. is alone if it in fact is pulled out of the accord, even with Trump's efforts to pull it out. He actually can't pull it out till 2020. I think it's a day after the next election.
Mm-hmm. Well, the U.S. has never been a climate leader. So, it doesn't really matter much if they stay in or they stay out of the agreement. It's because we haven't seen real climate leadership. There's still the role of the U.S. policy, and it's not just about the environmental policy. It's also about trade. It's about finance. It's about putting in place policies that extract more resources from countries like the Philippines and Fiji and bringing in their corporations with destructive mining activities, opening up our country and our people to even more damages and vulnerability.
And what does it mean to you when activists, George, from the United States, actually grassroots activists, governors, senators, mayors, nonprofits from all over, come as a kind of separate delegation from the Trump delegation? We have 15 seconds.
I think it's important because we don't stand alone in this fight, Even though we face the impacts of climate change back home, we know that we're in this fight with others around the world, and that's very important,
Well, I want to thank you both for being with us. And of course, we're going to continue to discuss this. Tetet Laurent, Iban International. George Nathewa from Fiji is a 350.org Pacific climate warrior. When we come back, a group of U.S. lawmakers are here in Bonn staging an anti-Trump revolt by declaring we are still in. That's in the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. We'll speak with Senators Markey of Massachusetts and Schatz of Hawaii. Stay with us.